3, 2, 1, fire.
So things that I'm learning when it comes to doing talk radio, make sure that you have had your food and your lunch well in advance of having to talk on the radio. I'm very burpy is what I'm saying. And so I'll apologize in advance for that. Welcome to It's Your Call. I am John Milkey on a never-ending search for some common ground on a lot of the issues that divide us. And sometimes I just want to have a conversation. And ironically, I just talked about wolfing down my lunch before coming on the air. We're going to talk about food today. We are going to talk about food. I want to welcome you to the show. Itsyourcall.ca is the website. There is a video link there. So if you'd like to appear via video, or if video makes you nervous, but you'd like to use that method and just be heard, I'll turn your camera off, leave the microphone on, and join us. Click the link. There's a little camera icon at itsyourcall.ca. Also got a link to the podcast. And I should update you. The podcast for quite some time has still had the Lowell Green name on it. I took a leap of faith this weekend. I have done the changeover. It is now searchable on Spotify, on Google, on Apple, etc. As It's Your Call with John Milkey. I'm keeping an eye on the numbers. Were those numbers there because, it was Lowell's place? Will those numbers still be there? And by the way, I'm encouraged by the numbers. I'm not getting Lowell numbers. I never think I'm crazy to think that I would. But I've been happy with what I've been seeing so far. Anyway, that's enough housekeeping in that regard. Let's go to the mailbag, shall we? Your comments are always welcome. I want to talk specifically to Robert. Robert is in Montreal. Robert is a very passionate talk show fan, gets involved in a lot of our programming. Robert has been very unhappy with me the last couple of days. He's been messaging, I guess, through the website and has not been receiving a reply. Robert, I apologize. I hope you understand. I just cannot possibly respond to every single email, text, phone call, etc. that I get. I just can't. First and foremost, I run a business that requires my full attention. I'm dealing with emails and invoices and clients there, updating the websites. I've got a morning show that I'm doing, Carrie and the Milkman, which is very, very involved. All this to say, I'm not trying to make excuses, Robert. I am reading your emails. I just don't have a chance to engage like I would like to. I'm currently hosting 9 shows that air on 5 stations in 2 countries. My days are a little busy. So I'm reading stuff. I can't be on the computer back and forth like I would like to be. So, and keep in mind, I'm on the road to and from Peterborough a lot too, producing shows. And I got a podcast business and by the way, I'm not sure what I'll be able to do as far as shows are concerned. I am on the road. I am in Peterborough Thursday and back on Friday. Not sure where that leaves me with the show. So just a heads up on that. Anyway, Robert, please, the best way, send me an email. Okay, go to itsyourcall.ca. There's an email link there. Send your email with your thoughts on the show and your comments, whatever else. I really want to read what you have to say. And rest assured, sir, I am reading your messages. I just can't reply to every single one that I get. All right, and I'm also still trying to get the house fixed since the storm in May. New windows coming in a month or so. Yay! Let's go to some of the comments already before we dive into the topic at hand. Craig says, I have 2 months to lower my cholesterol before my doctor places me on drugs. I need food choices that'll help, please. Okay, so let's get into it. Canadian families. This is according to Canada's Food Price Report. That's a thing. You think you're paying a lot for food now? Well, brace yourself. Canadian families, according to Canada's Food Price Report, will be paying $1,065 more for groceries in 2023 than they did this year. Now, I want to point out that last year's report from these same people predicted, I'm sorry. Whew, gassy. The same people, the same report last year predicted food prices in 2022 would rise somewhere between 5 and 7%. They were wrong. 11% on average. So if they're wrong again for 2023, you can rest assured you'll be paying more than the $1,065 more than they're predicting for next year. So they're saying 7% in 2023. If it's 11 again, how are you going to deal with that? That's the question. How are you going to deal with that? Here's the breakdown. For a family of 4, okay, the annual grocery bill is expected to be more than I made as a 1-year salary in my first full-time job in 1990. My first full-time job. You think radio people are joking when they talk about the crappy salaries? $14,000 a year in 1990. That was my first full-time job. Okay? A family of 4 in the new year can expect their grocery bill to be $16,288. $16,000 for a family of 4. Now, if you're a single female in your 40s, you'll be paying roughly $3,700 for groceries next year. Single male in his 40s, around $4,000. Vegetables, of course, will see the biggest price spike. Vegetables expected to rise in price by more than 8% in the new year. A lot of this due to the drier conditions in the USA. Yes, there's quite the drought, especially in western parts of the U.S. That's making the production of lettuce more expensive. Now, I don't do the grocery shopping in this house. I used to. My wife happens to work in the same plaza where the grocery store is. She's taking care of that. So all this to say, don't get me wrong, I'm cooking the food, okay? So, but I'm not in the store every single day, so I'm not as aware of prices as I used to be. That's what I'm trying to say there. But I remember you go to Farm Boy and you would get like a little bag of like 3 romaine lettuces, and I remember like $2.49, $2.99 for a bag of 3, like $1 a piece. I saw somebody on my Facebook the other day gobsmacked at the cost of 3 romaine lettuces, $9.99. $3 a piece. That's crazy. Meat, dairy, bakery predicted to soar up to 7% more than you're paying now in the new year. Seafood, 6%. Fruit, up to 5%. Now, climate change, we discussed that. That's, partly to blame. Geopolitical conflicts, the war in Ukraine, for example, rising energy costs, although right now gas is down. The lingering effects of COVID-19, obviously. Currency fluctuations. Okay, and listen, the weaker our dollar, the more we are paying for stuff. So, our dollar was at 80 cents US. It's now around 72. That hurts. When we're buyers of products, especially from the States, that hurts us big time. The increase, this is what gets me. The increasing reliance on food banks expected to continue. 20% of Canadians say they will likely have to turn to a community organization for food in the new year. Did you ever imagine that kind of staggering statistic in Canada? 20%. 2 in 10. 1 in 5. How many homes are on your street? I'm on a court. I think there's 11. That means 2 people on this court. On a court. 2 families are going to have to be using a food bank in the new year, relying on some sort of community assistance. I'm sorry. What's going on is one thing, but how are you managing? Whatever your situation, and look, I'm speaking as someone who, my circumstances have certainly changed. I've gone from me having a full-time income, my wife having a full-time income, and us running a business, to her losing her job, me losing my job, and having to rely exclusively on the business. And I'm not saying that, to sound like a whiner or a complainer. That's my reality. And I'm saying that because I recognize that there are a lot of people who are in very similar situations. During COVID, the work they were in vanished. There were cutbacks, etc. People are not in the same situation they were in several years ago. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I have found making ends meet to be damn near impossible right now. I got some big decisions I've got to make in the next little while. My truck that I leased in 2018 when my financial circumstances were much, much different, the lease is up in April. Okay, well, if I don't buy it out, will I even be able to get another vehicle? Because vehicles aren't aplenty, especially used vehicles. Do I try and find the money to, buy this thing out? I don't know. And if I do that, less money for food. I got a vet bill coming my way. My dog needs both of her, well, they're not called ACLs on a dog, but the doggy equivalent of ACLs. I'm looking at a $5,000 to $6,000 bill for surgery for that. Okay, so that cuts into the budget for other things, obviously. So my question to you is, what are you sacrificing? How are you making ends meet? Couponing, I'm sure, is something that's going to come up a lot, but this is way beyond couponing. You can't solve this with, a 10% off Kraft dinner coupon. Let's go to text 613-604-6464. Donna! Blossom Park, Donna. This is one of my neighbors. Went to Giant Tiger. One bag of groceries was $72. I live alone and I'm on medical leave. Wage does not go up. Bag of romaine lettuce is $9.99 for one. $4.99. Sorry. Bag of romaine lettuce is $9.99. One is $4.99 at Farm Boy. A romaine lettuce, $5. Remember when $5 would get you a case of Coke? A nice to have thing? Absolute insanity. I'm posting your comments on the screen. I'm not getting a chance to read them. So let me scroll back a little bit and just see what you're having to say. Because I'm curious, what is it you are sacrificing? How are you making ends meet? What is your plan going forward if food prices are going to rise even more? We'll begin with Julie's comment. If I missed yours and I don't get a chance to read it on the air, again, I apologize. I'm a one-person operation here, so I've scrolled back to Jules. We'll begin there. She says, I believe it's $16,000. I have hubby, me, that's $1,600, by the way. I have hubby, me, my 2 adult children. It's expensive. To top, my daughter is on special diet and can't eat milk, eggs, soy, so her food is twice as much. Factor in rent increases, gas, etc., insurance, cell phones, food prices, says Peter. Over to Chris, and I know Chris has got a family. He's got a beautiful young boy who probably eats a ton, Chris, and I know that you also have a YouTube channel that deals with all things food. So you're buying things just for the sake of having content for your YouTube channel. I can't imagine what your food bill is. He says, I have 2 middle incomes coming in, and we eat a lot of oats for breakfast these days. $2.47 for a 1-pound bag. Last a couple of weeks. That's where we're at. I can't even remember the last time I purchased lettuce. I ain't shelling out no $15 for romaine. And that's the thing, right? Here we are making these decisions. I know I'm eating foods that aren't good for me, but I got to eat. I should be eating the lettuce, but I come on. $9.99 for 3 things of lettuce? Yikes. David says that's $5,000 more than someone on ODSP gets a year. I think you're talking about the price increase. All right. Laura says, wait till I tell you, you can grow these in your kitchen. Yeah, you're not wrong, Laura. I know. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with my question. Okay. Let's get the phone number back on the screen, by the way. 613-604-6464. Yeah. Is that part of your solution? Will you be growing your own food come the spring? And I know a lot of people do that. I have no luck growing anything at all. So I'm not even going to try that. But is that an option? Is that one way you're going to be saving money? Chime in on that. 613-604-6464. It's your call.ca. Eric says inflation is affecting all of us. I heard that Freeland had to cancel her Disney account to cope. Yeah. Wasn't that a slap in the face? Like, talk about being out of touch. Holy cripes, lady. We're paying you a really good salary. I'm pretty sure her husband works too, if I'm not mistaken, right? Her accommodations in Ottawa would be subsidized as well. She'd have a driver. Oh, but you cut back Disney. Good for you. Saving that $15 a month. Everything is golden when I'm Chrystia Freeland. Tina Marie says, price is why I garden. I'm still using my homegrown produce. Had to freeze most of it. Still a lot more cost effective. All right. Calgary Kathy says, gas just went up in Alberta over the weekend. It's been, I don't know what you're paying in Alberta. It's about $1.42 here. It's sad that I'm celebrating $1.42. And by the way, gas here is still significantly higher than what, our American friends are paying when you do all the conversions, thanks to the carbon tax, which again, doesn't just affect you and your car. It affects every transport vehicle that is involved. Listen, the farmer's tractor requires gas, right? The truck that comes to the farm and picks it up and delivers it requires gas. The delivery to the warehouse requires gas, and on and on and on. So you're paying all of these different layers. Don't forget that. This carbon tax is, it's not even mentioned in the article. It's killer. And it goes up again in January. Yep, I'm fine with that. Woo! Satan's Playmate. More people will start growing their own food at home. Hydroponic towers seem to be selling well. Got a friend who's in that business and does very, very well, selling that to people. Peter says, I don't buy lettuce. That's a luxury. I went to a burger chain a few weeks ago. Lettuce was 30 cents more if you wanted it. Like, no. Remember? Oh, my God. Remember when they used to ask if you wanted fries with that? Would you like lettuce with that? That's where we are. Would you like lettuce with that? 30 cents more. Whole Foods, organic grocery, special diets, can see why expensive, cannot live, just craft dinner. Listen, if you're shopping at Whole Foods, with all due respect, you're likely not someone who really has concerns about the price of anything. Whole Foods is very much a specialty audience. It really is. It's your upper end, high income earner audience. The average person is not shopping at Whole Foods like ever. Let's go to Eric. Donate money to the food banks, 4 to 5 times the value to them. Yep. Anytime you can donate money to the food banks, they get deep discounts and they can get a lot more food for people. So if you're wanting to be part of a solution, I listen. And I'm a big supporter of the food bank. Not as big as I'd like to be, but certainly it's one of my top 2 or 3 causes that I donate to. And especially when I see that, listen, 1 out of 5 Canadians are going to be relying on some sort of food assistance going forward. David says, a friend just told me they've taken Caesar salad off the menu at Canadian Tire Place. It's not cost effective with the price of lettuce. The same place that'll charge you, what is it, $8, $9 a beer? Can't afford lettuce. What does that tell you? I'm being a little facetious, but what does that tell you? 613-604-6464. The show is called It's Your Call. It's brought to you by McCarthy Automotive. Listen, okay, money's tight. You want to spend money and make it count where it's going to pay off for you? McCarthy Automotive for your auto maintenance. You are not going to spend more than you need to spend. They are going to look for every single opportunity to make sure that you've got, and we're not talking discounted parts, etc. No. The right parts and the reasons why. And aren't you prepared to pay for value? Wouldn't you rather pay for something once and be assured that it's going to last? These are honest people who care deeply about their business, who care deeply about their reputation, and who I've been doing business with for a good number of years. Just drive past their location, 1150 Heron Road. You will see, parked out front, some of the biggest names in delivery vehicles, etc. Some of the biggest names in companies in Ottawa, their vehicles are out front. Why? Because they're trusting McCarthy Automotive to do the right thing, to have the positive effect, to get their vehicles back on the road in a timely manner and to ensure that they are running properly. They are fleet vehicle specialists, but they'll take good care of you as well. If you haven't done your winter tire changeover, they got all kinds of winter tires available and storage as well. So you've actually got room for your snowblower in that garage instead of your tires. McCarthy Automotive. Tell them Milky sent you. McCarthyautomotive.ca, 1150 Heron Road. Roku Stittsville says we need to apply tax surcharges to large grocers making record profits. These taxes should in turn flow to food banks. Listen, I think it's easy to look at the grocery industry and say, look at the money they make. And yeah, you know what? They do. But the grocery stores, when you bring it down to a per item thing, they're not marking this up to huge margins. Like 2%. And I don't have any problem with a business making money. That's that's the free market system. And I think by and large, and there's certainly some exceptions, but by and large, I think grocers are being very responsible. 2% markup, that's not bad. If you were bringing me evidence saying that, the profit on milk is 15%, that's a different conversation. But I have not seen anything to suggest that that's actually where things are at. Businesses need to make money. I have no problem with businesses making money at all. I'm in business. Guess what I want to do at the end of the day? I want to make money because I am my business. I got to eat. Simon says $7 for 4 liters of milk, $4 for 12 eggs, and I haven't bought salmon in about 15 months. How are we expected to eat healthy or even afford food at this rate? And for families with children like my own, cutbacks are inevitable. I certainly eat less now than I was 2 years ago. So that's the question I'm trying to get an answer to. What are you sacrificing? Because you have to eat. You got to feed your kids. You can't just eat junk all the time because it's cheaper. You got to eat the right things. You got to eat well. Got to eat smart. So what are you cutting back on? For me, I listen, I love my Red Blacks. I'm sorry. I can't. I cannot make that investment anymore. And that pains me to say that. I want to support my football team. I can't. I used to support my local hockey team too. Once you lose your job, bye-bye. That's a game I can't be part of. So on and on and on go these chain of events. As the price of food goes up, I have to take that money from somewhere else. It's basic economics. So what are you sacrificing to make ends meet? Gardening cost me about $200 for the season, says Tina, but the amount of harvest I get would equal close to $800 worth of produce. That's awesome. And again, I would do that if I thought for a second I could actually grow something. I'm not convinced I could. And even if I could, the neighborhood cats and raccoons, etc., would get to it long before I could. Kathy says, and don't forget your EI, CPP, and taxes are also going up starting January, so your paychecks will also be smaller. Satan's Playmate, we stopped going out to dinner, ordering out, and have reduced several items, including meat. So there you go. So who's paying, who's ultimately paying the price for that? Our poor restaurant owners, right? Because they haven't taken enough of a beating. But yeah, and I know there's a lot of people, I can't go out to eat. I'm with you. Cut back on alcohol for me, says Chrissy. Good for you. I hope that goes well. Focus on being more healthy. Watch for sales. Go early to grocery stores and buy things 50% off. My plan, but then dog food and treats will stay the same. There's some pretty decent sales on pet food every now and then too, Chrissy. Keep your eyes out for that. Ann says, Flip is my best friend. Yes, I love the Flip app. I keep an eye out for what is on special that week and pounce. Bummer when I need something not on sale, but I grit my teeth and pay if I really need it for something. I do not buy red meat or chicken unless on sale. Nice when fresh whole chickens are $1.99 a pound. Great if you have a freezer. Yeah, the real beneficiaries here. Where's Shields when we need them? How much for a deep freeze? And I don't mind mentioning Shields at all. We miss having you guys around, Shields. Debbie says, going to be a lot of unhealthy people and certainly not good for children's development when healthy foods will not be attainable for many. You're absolutely right. Back to Calgary. Restaurants here in Alberta are using cabbage instead of lettuce in salads. Anne is back to say, embarrassed, but starting to look at the throwaway carts at stores. Some of it is still in fairly good condition. I hear a lot of people looking at expiry dates going, all right, I'll take a risk that I wasn't taking a couple of years ago. To make ends meet, Peter says, I look at every item and cut where I need. Found savings. Cut cell phone by $15 a month, for example. Yeah. Lowell posted about that today, by the way. Is $160 a month too much for a cell phone? Yes. Yes, it is. And by the way, with all due respect to the large carriers that you are all familiar with, there are a lot of smaller carriers out there. Be aware of who they are. Some of them are just a different brand for a much bigger company. But there are independents out there. Like I'm with Videotron. Here's a free plug for you, Videotron. They're a Quebec-based company. Every single time I call because there's a new package available or whatever else, I get more given to me than I could ever possibly ask for. $50 a month. International calling, data, 20 gigs a month. It's crazy. It's crazy. And if you live in Ottawa, because of our proximity to Quebec, you can actually use them as your carrier. And yeah, you'll get nationwide coverage. $1 a day, by the way, for to have your cell phone operating in the States. That's it. So I'm just saying, look beyond the normal places if you're trying to save a buck or two. Same with your cable television. There's lots of other options out there. And listen, I mean, if you're comfortable with the big guys, go with the big guys. But yes, start shopping stuff like that around. I love what you're saying. And I'm sure there are other examples as well. Chris says, my wife has been an intense couponer for a decade. We used to pay about $30 a week given all her fantastic wizardry. The biggest shift we've seen has been on coupon availability and deals. They're way less. That's interesting. So we've given up eating outside of my YouTube content. That was the choice we made. Let's see. Peter says everything she spends is covered at home. In Ottawa, she has no clue, believing her riding is in Rosedale, Toronto, wealthy part of Toronto. Like her boss, Mr. Justin Trudeau, spends $1,000 in just bottled water a month. Yeah, we can't have plastic straws, but here's all the bottled water you want. Freeland's Mark says Anne was especially insensitive considering so many people are having trouble paying for food and gas, and she's blabbering about a frill like a TV package. And yet, another article that I read today, most Canadians were absolutely fine with the Emergency Measures Act being put in place. What is it with this government that they can just keep saying things like this and doing things like that? And people are just like, yes, more, please. A $6,000 a night hotel. I mean, $6,000 a night for a hotel room. A family of four is looking at $16,000 a year for food. If you stayed there 3 nights, and guess what? They did. That's enough for a family of four to eat for a year. No hotel room is worth $6,000. I don't care who you are. No hotel room is ever worth $6,000. And if it is, and you can pay it out of pocket and not charge me, have at it. Have at it. Joshua says, I think it's important to remember the people imposing these taxes don't have to cut back or give up a damn thing. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. They are so out of touch. The people you are electing and saying, here, look after me, are not looking after you. And I'd be saying the same thing if it was another party in power. I don't care. I'm not seeing evidence that you are looking out for me, that you're aware of this, that you get it. Cutting back on Disney Plus? Kiss my ass. What about the people who can't even afford Disney Plus in the first place, let alone cut back on it? Give me a break. Give me a break. Talking out of your butthole. Renee says, we go to a butcher and farms for meat and vegetables. If I'm going to pay a lot of money for food, I'm cutting out the middleman. Good on you. Absolutely. Burger King will charge extra for any produce extra on your order. You know what? And I'm not saying Burger King, but there are some fast food places where, you know what, I would pay a little extra just because it seems that, whatever veggies that they did put on there have vanished or fallen off or slipped off. Pay more for that? No. This reminds me, I need to start my bread for dinner tonight. There you go. Let's go to Satan's Playmate. Don't have to worry. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Okay, now you're having conversations amongst yourselves. Just skip past that. Luxury is out now, says Dog Bones. Survival comes first. And that's really what it boils down to, isn't it? People are they're surviving now. There's no luxury going on. Oh, there is if you're in the government. Luxury. Sure. Meanwhile, your neighbor's lining up at a food bank. Eric, pardon me. Eric says, it really leaves a sour taste in our mouths when Loblaws are reporting record profits after taking our money through government handouts for their freezers. I mean, again, I don't know the reasons why they were given that. I really can't explain it. That's above me. But yeah, I understand the bitterness and I understand the optics of it. But, okay, Loblaws is one example. There's also Sobeys. There's also independent grocers. There's also on and on and on and on all these other grocery stores. I promise you, they are not marking up food by 10, 15, 20% and laughing all the way to the bank. They're just not. They're just not. Roku Stittsville says, shouldn't buy groceries on sale. You're stealing profits from the grocers. Well, all right. Chris says, a while back, CTV advertised an app that showed you which grocery stores had reduced pricing on things that were just about to expire. I can't remember the name of the app, though. I'm sure that's very Googleable. Googleable. I think I just made that up. Got to get going here in a matter of moments, but I want to get a couple more of your comments in. David says, people aren't getting the stories from the regular media. Okay. Well, you tell us what we're missing there, sir. Keep that coming here on It's Your Call, where you get to have the voice. You get to call the shots. You get to, gosh, maybe even call the show and bring things to light. I don't know if you know this. This is a call-in show. 613-604-6464. Let's go to Lisa. That's gross. I live alone, have no benefits, and have to take a lot of medications. So where do I cut? Lisa, I'm with you. I was gifted. A couple of years ago a 2-year supply of my antidepressants. Probably saved me $600 a month. I'm out. I don't know where I'm going to find this $600 a month. I need these medications. My doctor has told me I am going to be on these for the rest of my life. I don't know. I don't know what else I can cut. I just don't. It's not like I'm spending a fortune on clothes. I promise you that. Look at me. Sue says it's tougher for people who don't know how to cook. I was lucky having a dad who was a cook than being in the restaurant industry in kitchens for 30 plus years. It is possible to eat healthy for less, but it's really not easy. Lots of work and knowing what to do. I mean, cutting back on portions, I absolutely need to do that, but you still got to buy there's the initial cost of the food itself. Lydia, I haven't heard from you in a long, long time. Nice to see you hanging out. Lydia, thank you. She says, hey, John, being a grocery store cashier for the last 3 years now, the cost of groceries is insane. If someone puts a very expensive product up, I always ask if they still want it. A lot of customers do not look at prices. I'm sorry, but $15 for a larger tub of butter, that's a big nope from me. Think of the Christmas bakers out there and what they're looking at right now, because they just, this is a nice gift. They want to do something nice for someone, but suddenly it's like, you know what? The cost of nice is through the roof. Yes, Flash Food, that was the one. Flash Food is the name of the app. That's the one I was thinking of. Just couldn't remember the name. I knew it wasn't Flip, though. All right, so Flash Food apparently is a good app for you guys. Thank you for sharing that. Simon says, the dog surgery is worth a lot of your medication, maybe dark humor, but I can't help myself. Don't ban me. Nobody's banned on this show, Simon. You've got to go to some pretty big lengths and be a pretty big jerk in order for me to want to ban you from this show. I'm not big on banning anybody. Again, that kind of defeats the purpose of the show. I want to hear all sides of the conversation. Back tomorrow, back Wednesday. Again, Thursday, Friday, kind of up in the air. A lot of it depends on weather and when I can travel to and from Peterborough. Anyway, I will post updates in that regard, and you can find the podcast on our website, itsyourcall.ca. And I look forward to continuing our conversations about these matters again tomorrow.